The ceasefire between Hamas and Israel is now in effect. Last night, Israel's cabinet approved President Trump's peace deal. Now the clock is ticking on the 72-hour deadline for the release of all the hostages in Gaza.
Well, not every cabinet member approved of the plan. Those opposed called the release of the Palestinian terrorists who have murdered Israelis an unbearable price to pay. CBN's Julie Stahl has more.
The Israeli government approved President Trump's deal to free the hostages held by Hamas and end the war in Gaza.
We fought during these 2 years to achieve our war aims. The central one of these war aims is to return the hostages, all of the hostages, the living and the dead.
The IDF said its troops are now adjusting operational positions in the Gaza Strip for the implementation of the agreement. Trump said this is a momentous breakthrough in the Middle East.
We ended the war in Gaza and really, on a much bigger basis, created peace. And I think it's going to be a lasting peace, hopefully an everlasting peace. Peace in the Middle East. We secured the release of all of the remaining hostages, and they should be released on Monday or Tuesday.
Trump is due to visit Israel and the Middle East briefly next week, and he has been invited to address the Knesset, Israel's parliament. Many Israelis are rejoicing over the promised return of the 48 hostages, 20 of whom are believed to still be alive, held for more than 2 years now. In exchange, Israel is releasing nearly 2,000 prisoners, 250 of them serving life sentences. Some cabinet ministers voted against the plan. Ben-Gvir said that while our hearts are filled with joy, happiness, and excitement over the return of the hostages, it's impossible to ignore the price Israel is paying by releasing terrorists and murderers from prison. He asked Witkoff and Kushner, "Would you make peace with Hitler? Hamas is Hitler. They want to kill us." David Bedin of the Center for Near East Policy Research says, according to Arabic language media, Hamas has not agreed to a ceasefire, only a hudna, a temporary cessation of hostilities in order to regroup. Hamas official Khalil al-Hayya says Hamas will continue its work until Palestinian aspirations are fulfilled.
We will continue to work with national and Islamic forces to complete the remaining steps, working to achieve the interests of our Palestinian people, enabling them to determine their own destiny and fulfill their rights. This will continue until the establishment of an independent state with Jerusalem as its capital.
The U.S. is sending up to 200 troops to monitor and oversee the ceasefire deal. Other peacekeepers will likely include Egyptian, Qatari, Turkish, and Emirati forces. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thank you, Julie. CBN News senior White House correspondent Kelly Wright joins us now for more. Kelly, President Trump is getting a lot of praise for this ceasefire. From your perspective, how did he get this done?
Good morning to you, Andrew. So the president got this done, not only from my perspective, but actually from what happened, and that was through power. He appeared to be a strong man in the Middle East, and the Middle East represents or actually really honors men who are strong. The president had actually proven to be unpredictable. He was willing to use power, which previous presidents were not willing to do. He used that powerful strike against Iran. That woke up a lot of people. He was definitely strong against Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthi rebels, even taking out Houthi rebels there from the Navy strikes upon them. And then you have to look at the fact that he has always talked about peace through strength. That's exactly what this boiled down to, peace through strength. He showed strength. And in short, Hamas had had enough and they were brought to the table. The other thing that he did, Andrew, behind the scenes, you'll recall that meeting between he and Bibi Netanyahu just a couple of weeks ago at the White House. And the president at that time, the first thing he did before coming out with any type of public announcement of that 20-point plan, he had Bibi call Al-Thani, the prime minister of Qatar, and actually had the two men with him on the line talk about the differences and having Bibi apologized to Al-Thani for that strike on Qatar to try to take out Hamas leaders, and it didn't result in Hamas leaders being taken out, but a Qatari soldier. Once that deal was done, and that apology was made. They made a fast track to get some diplomacy done. The president basically handling Bibi Netanyahu while Qatar handled Hamas as well as Erdogan of Turkey. So the president put everything together and continued to show that he's a strong man, unpredictable, willing to use power, and willing to make peace through strength.
Earlier this week, you spoke with the president about the plan in the Oval Office, and he talked about the hostages. What did he tell you?
You know, the hostages were very close to his heart. And when I asked him the question about if the hostages had been in communication with him, he said, yes, they have called me. He was talking about a few of them who had called, and they were saying, Mr. President, this is unbelievable. They expressed their gratitude. And he went on to say it's almost like they couldn't breathe because they couldn't contain themselves, realizing that this peace deal was about to happen and that they would be seeing the return of their loved ones. And he said it's also a sad moment because not every hostage is going to come back alive. And he talked about, as he's done before, how some of these parents just want to see their child brought back home. Dead, and then he said it's really a sad situation, but at the same time, it's a hopeful and joyful situation for those who will be celebrating the 20 hostages who are believed to still be alive. So it's a very somber moment and yet a joyful moment for the president himself. He also expressed that he realized that the Israeli people would be celebrating in the streets as they are, we've seen in Hostage Square in Tel Aviv and throughout Israel. This is quite a moment for the Israelis, but they're also wary of the future. And the president wants to be sure that he can actually make sure that Hamas disarms and that the 20-point plan that he's put together will be followed through.
Okay, Kelly, last question. We're learning that 200 American troops will monitor the peace. What's their role? How difficult will these next steps be?
Okay, so their role is going to be logistics. They will not be putting boots on the ground in Gaza. They will be stationed in Israel, those 200 troops, and they will be there to help oversee or help manage the huge logistical operation that this is going to be. You have to realize that there are 2 million Gazans still living there, and it's decimated up to 90%. So from the Israeli side, the United States military, those boots on the ground, those 200 soldiers or military members will be actually operating with not only Israel, but the other forces that will be at work. And then on the ground in Gaza, our understanding is that Arab forces will be on the ground, most of it will be Qataris and some others to make sure that, one, Hamas disarms. But the U.S. involvement in terms of the military is logistical at this point.
Okay, Kelly Wright, thanks so much for joining us. Always appreciate you being with us.
All right.